Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here with another video on Arrow Season 7. So this week on Arrow we have a big episode in which we will see Oliver for the first time this season back in the public of Star City. Seeing that of course he is now out of Slabside. So he is back with Felicity, Diggle and the rest of Team Arrow, and you would just expect, Oliver to, settle down and focus on getting a job and just having a more relaxing life than what we have seen over the past 6 seasons, right? Yeah, good joke, Pagey, good man. You tried hard with that one, didn't you? Of course not. That's not what's going to happen. Oliver's, that's not his way of life, is it? So in this week's episode, that being episode 8, which will also serve as the mid-season finale, seeing that the week after this is the Elseworlds crossover, Oliver will be suited back up as the Green Arrow, but with a bit of a difference. There's no hood there or mask. And we will also see him interacting with that new Green Arrow as well, which I cannot wait for. It should be great. But shortly after we return from the mid-season break, which will be in late January sometime, Arrow will be celebrating another milestone. So as most of us should know, this week on The Flash, they are celebrating their 100th episode of the show, which should hopefully be great. But in episode 12 of this season of Arrow, they will be celebrating the 150th episode of the show, which will call for some awesome throwbacks to not only moments in the past, but also with some characters from the past returning for this episode and possibly episodes to follow if we are lucky. Now, as I said, episode 12 will be the 150th episode, but the title of the episode is actually Emerald Archer, which all Green Arrow fans should know is another name or alias for the Green Arrow. So I love that, a classic alias like that is being used for this milestone episode. It's just fantastic. But as we saw in the 100th episode for Arrow back in Season 5, we had characters such as Robert and Moira Queen, as well as Earth 1 Laurel Lance return to play a part in the story for that episode, which obviously took place in a dream reality of sorts, seeing that all 3 of those characters are dead. But with the 150th episode this season, we will be getting something similar, but with characters that are still alive in the Arrowverse, but have just been, missing in action for a bit. Whether that be since last season or all the way back to season 3. How these characters will factor into the episode will have to be seen, but one character that we bring up that we know is returning could be connected to something we are starting to see form this season, but we will get around to that when it's relevant. Now, we are only going over 3 characters, as that is the amount of returning characters we know of. However, there could be many more showing up. So, this isn't limiting who's showing up. These aren't the only 3 characters coming back. These are just the only ones we know of so far. But of course, do let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on these characters coming back. And also let me know of one character outside these 3 that I mentioned that you would love to see show back up in this 150th episode. Let me know that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you just want to show your support, be sure to drop a like on the video to do all of that. So the first character that will be returning for the 100th episode is actually Sin. So I'm sure everyone remembers Sin, but we actually haven't seen her properly since Season 2. She was in one episode of Season 3, however, which will actually be exactly 4 seasons ago when the 150th episode airs, as her last appearance was in episode 12 of Season 3. Now, when we left with Sin, it was unclear whether she knew about what had happened to Sarah, about her death, and then of course, she was resurrected later on in Season 4. So it will be interesting to see if she asks about Sarah, because that was our entry point to the character of Sin. She was Sarah's friend and ally when Sarah returned to Star City as the Canary. And then we of course later saw Sin become close with both Roy and Thea. Now, how do we know she is back? Well, Bex Taylor Klaus, or Klaus, or Klaus, or Klaus, whatever, I think it's Bex Taylor Klaus we'll call her, the actor who plays Sin, posted this on Instagram with the location set as Vancouver with the caption, "If you were to insinuate that I flew to Canada for a haircut, I would not correct you." Now, Bex only has one other project, which I'm pretty sure has wrapped up, and that was filmed in, I think, England. So I'm pretty sure Bex being in Vancouver highly suggests that Sin is returning to Arrow for this episode. And come on, look at that haircut, that just screams Sin. Now up next in regards to returning characters for this 150th episode for Arrow is that of Rory Regan, aka Ragman. Now I'm sure the news that Ragman is coming back will excite many of you, and I am with you on that. When I first heard this news, I was very excited. Now we know that Ragman is back for this episode thanks to our good old friend Canada Graphs, who was able to catch him as he was in Vancouver, where they of course film all these shows. Now this is important. Joe Dinnicole, who plays Ragman, was there for less than 24 hours. However, it did appear that he filmed from the moment he got there, for the most part, until the moment he left, and it does seem that he filmed in the studios that Arrow uses. His scenes weren't on location or anything like that, but in regards to Ragman's return, the last time we saw him was of course around the midpoint of Arrow Season 5 when he used his rags to prevent, I think it was a nuke or a really big bomb at least, or something like that, from going off and essentially killing all of Team Arrow. But in the process of doing this, he essentially messes his rags up and they stop working, so he just goes away. Now, towards the end of Season 5, we were supposed to get him back for an episode, which would actually be a sort of Return to Haven Rock sort of episode. Haven Rock, of course, being the town Ragman was from, that was hit by the nuke that Felicity sort of had to reroute in the Season 4. Was it the finale or just towards the end of Season 4? One of the two. They never said what episode it would have been. However, I think anyone that has dived into the cancellation of this episode and anything like that agrees that it was most likely meant to be episode 20 of Season 5, which instead we had that underneath episode, which was when that EMP went off that was set off by Prometheus, and Oliver and Felicity were trapped in the bunker, and we had those, I think those flashbacks in that episode and all of that. Now, that underneath episode would have been incredibly cheap to make in comparison to an average episode of Arrow, because it had Emily Beck Rickards and Stephen Amell in it for the most part, and then some side characters, but they wouldn't have had to pay for any outdoor sets or any extras and stuff. Would have been the cheapest episode I think Arrow's ever made. Whilst the Ragman return episode would have been the opposite. It would have been quite pricey, seeing that we would have had to, gone to a nuked out town. So imagine the cost of setting all of that up. So it does seem that we didn't get the Ragman episode due to cost, which I can understand, but hopefully his appearance this season in the 150th episode can make up for that, and we can learn what he has been doing all this time since he left. It would be pretty cool to hear that he has been off in another city or something, being a crime fighter or something like that, because even though I loved him on Arrow, Ragman was just a bit too overpowered for the show. I think we can all agree on that. And now we get to the last character that we know will be coming back to Arrow for its 150th episode, and this is a character that has only been, gone since towards the end of last season, but has a connection to this story, or to the story currently going on this season with another particular character, and that is Thea Queen. So Beth Schwartz, the executive producer and showrunner for Arrow, posted the cover of the script for the 150th episode on Twitter, as well as a collection of artwork over the past few seasons. But if you actually sort of take that photo, zoom in and sort of tinker with the whites and darks of this image in Photoshop, you can actually make out the names of the cast for this episode. So you have the normal cast members of Stephen Amell, Emily Beck Rickards, Katie Cassidy, etc. And then there is sort of a break, and then it starts to list the guest stars. And the only one we can see as the rest of them start to get blocked off by the artwork is that of Thea Queen, as it says here on the left, and then over here on the right you can sort of make out Willa Holland. If you look at it, you can tell it's Willa Holland, but it's not clear. Now in the video you're watching, it might be hard to make out because just when YouTube does stuff, it sometimes lowers quality. I don't know how it will turn out, but if anyone wants the proper image, I will post it on Twitter for you, so just let me know over there if you want a better look at it or not. But in regards to Thea, last season she obviously left with both Roy Harper and Nissa Al Ghul in order to sort of track down those remaining Lazarus pits. Now, that is all we know of her since then. She went on that mission. Now, of course, we have Roy in the flash forwards this year with William, and it does seem that either something happened between Roy and Thea that wasn't that good, or something bad happened to specifically Thea, as in she may have died. Now, we obviously have no idea how Thea will factor into this episode. It could be either in the present day, or in the future, or both. Either could work. I guess it just depends what effect they want her to have on the story. Obviously, we do have that new character of Maya, who I think many believe to be the daughter of either Oliver and Felicity or Roy and Thea. One of those. So Thea could easily be brought into, to set up that connection or something like that. Or she could be brought in to set up what is going on with Roy specifically in the future. Or possibly Roy and Thea just return in present day from their mission and go, yay, we did it. And yeah, that could be what happens. I think many people expect Roy to not be exclusive to the future stuff this season, and that he will factor into the present day story at some point, just to, connect stuff from the present to the future. So this could be the way to set all of that up. Now, obviously, there was drama last season with Willa Holland leaving the show because I don't think she specifically said this, but it was like insinuated that she just wanted to get off the show. Apparently, there was drama between her and other cast members and stuff like that. I don't know exactly what it is. I just know people say that that's what happened. I know that I think Willa's mom said some stuff on Twitter, and due to this stuff coming from the script, people think it's fake because of what happened last season. However, you can tell she's on the script. Beth Schwartz herself posted the script, so it's not fake. So I guess either she was just coerced in a pretty, decent way to come back to the show, or maybe she's only going to share scenes with Colton Haynes, who plays Roy Harper, which means maybe she's going to appear in the future stuff, or there is going to be some present day stuff where it's just her and Colton. I don't know how they're going to make it work. I don't know the drama around the situation. I just know that it apparently exists, according to some people online. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on what we went over. Which character of these three that I listed are you looking forward to the most seeing in this episode? And of course, let me know of one other character in Arrow's history that you would love to see show up again in this episode that is alive. Don't listen to dead characters because I don't think we're getting into like any sort of sci-fi dream reality in this episode. So list someone that's alive that you'd like to come back. And yeah, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.